One thing you have to learn early in life, I didn't learn this till later on. You can't care what anybody thinks about you.
There is no excuse for not living up to your fullest potential. No excuse. And I stopped being a victim. I stopped saying I've got to wait for good things to happen to me. And I said I'm going to grind. I'm going to fight. I'm going to work. I'm going to press forward. I'm going to learn. I'm going to do everything in my power every single day to become a victor and not a victim.
Well, why do meaningful things? Well, first of all, what is meaning? But then why do meaningful things? And the answer is, well, because life is suffering and malevolence. It's ineradicable at its core. It's like, that will take you out. Make no mistake about it. You need something you need to be armed with virtue in order for that not to turn into hell. Really, you really need that.
So the system wants you to feel mostly powerless because they have power, you don't. And it also wants you to feel inadequate until you buy more stuff, because that's what marketers sell us, is the idea that until you buy this, you're incomplete. It turns out those two things don't make people happy. What makes us happy is agency, knowing that we have some sort of control over what's going to happen in our life. And unfortunately, the economic structure that we live in isn't going to be easy for most people to fix, not in the short run. But what we can fix right now is how we respond or react to what's happening in front of us.
If you're in your 20s and you're listening right now, you're like, yeah, whatever, I don't need mindset. Just give me that thing that makes me the money or fixes my relationship or puts me in shape. Just give me it, I'm a hustler, I'll do it. But we're wrong. You know, I would think mindset in my 20s was 10% and 90% was the thing. And now I realize it's 90% mindset and 10% the thing. Most of us think we need more resources. If I had support from my family, if somebody lent me the money, if someone would just show me how to do it. All these things, because we think if we had the resources, we could make it work. And what I realized at 51, looking back, having more success than I could have ever imagined possible, I feel blessed every single day of my life. It has nothing to do with resources. It has to do with resourcefulness.
Winners win and losers lose. I can't explain it any better than that. I don't know how it happens, but winners win. And if you create a culture of losing, if you keep being a victim, if you keep letting losing happen to you, if you keep letting people do you and treat you any kind of way, it's going to become a culture.
Nobility of purpose. That's it. You have that, then you can, then you have something to set against the suffering and the malevolence. It's an instinct, meaning. It's the instinct of life. My life is meaningless. It's the spirit has gone out of you. It's like, well, and you know, modern people, it's part of this process of criticism. We criticize the idea of meaning so much that we don't really believe in it anymore. It's like, well, that's fine. You can not believe it, but try living without it and see how far you get with that.
What if today was the last day of your life? What's undue? Who would you need to speak to? What gifts still remain in your heart? And I truly hope that each of us live a long life. But to me, the real success of life is not the duration, but it's how you live while you're living it. What if today was the last day of your life? How would you need to live your life, rearrange your life so that if death came, you could throw your arms wide open and say, yes, I'm ready?
If you are happy where you are, then congratulations, it's so good to have you here. But if you're someone who wants to move away from something that's not perfect, or you want to move towards something that's better, know that your beliefs, your best thinking got you to this point. And the only thing that takes you to the next point, the next level of your business, starting a business, scaling the business, intimate relationship, passion, in shape, is new beliefs. It's like the beliefs that got you out of Egypt are not the beliefs that'll take you to the promised land.
We could dig deep into emotional labor, not the physical labor of digging a latrine, but the emotional labor of sitting when we feel like running, of whispering when we feel like yelling. We could dig deep and say, in this moment, I'm going to choose to be the best version of myself and seek possibility. And it turns out that that's a life, that you can build an entire life merely doing that. And then what happens, more often than not, is the world responds by inviting you to play on a bigger stage.
You get ready to go back into your lives. You live every single day in such a way so that every single moment of your life you can say yes, yes, it's a good day to die. I believe it's then, in that moment, you will be fully alive.
We want people to make guarantees to us, but we're not willing to make guarantees to ourselves. Somebody gave you a guarantee, $30, 30-day guarantee. In 30 days, if you don't make what they told you was gonna make, in 30 days you got an attitude, you want your money back, but you've never demanded your money back from yourself.
It's like, okay, you need a reason to get out of bed on a terrible day. Okay, what's that reason gonna be? Well, let's think it through. You know people who can get out of bed on a terrible day. Do you admire them? Yes. What are those people like? Are they taking responsibility for themselves? Definitely. Do they have excess capacity, so they're taking responsibility for other people? Yeah. Are they doing difficult things? Yes, obviously. The more you respect them, the more you also see that they're doing difficult things and doing them well. So what does that mean? Do some difficult things.
So this is not about hustling. I'm not a fan of hustling. I'm a fan of a generous hustle. And the generous hustle says, how can I do things in the world to leave a better trail and to help other people? Not, how do I do things so I get my fair share? Because the world doesn't respond well to hustlers. They don't like being hustled. But the world responds really well to people who take responsibility and give away credit.
So for those of you that don't know what to do and how it's going to happen and where the resources are going to come from, you just say yes and watch life grow. Your job is not to go out there and make it happen, go out there and manifest it. Everything is already manifested. Everything is already available. Your job is to simply say yes and get yourself the hell out of the way.
Find out who you are, whoever that may be. I don't give what you are. Find out who you are and own that motherfucker and tell people to go themselves. Don't ever worry about anybody and what the think about you. You do that, I guarantee you, your life will be in shambles.
You've never looked at yourself in the mirror and said, you let you down. Until you get to that point, you let you down. And that's the problem with some of you. You always want to blame other people. You always want to hold other people to the fire, but you're not holding yourself to the fire.
There's going to be things that come along that flatten you so hard you won't believe it. And you're not happy then. And so if life is to be happy, well, in those situations, what are you doing? Why even live? But life isn't to be happy. If you're happy, you're bloody fortunate, and you should enjoy it. You should, because it's the grace of God, so to speak. With regards to meaning, you'll have a choice. Choice number one, nothing you do means anything. The alternative is everything you do matters. Really, if you make a mistake, it's a real mistake. If you betray someone, you tilt the world a little more sharply towards evil rather than good. It matters what you do. Well, if you buy that, then you can have a meaningful life.
I want people not to be afraid to be themselves, no matter what circumstances they're in. Your situation doesn't define who you are. You define who you are. Our lives is about feeling good, not about just who we are, about just feeling good about everything is supposed to feel right.
Mindset I'm defining as what's possible in your life, right? Think about the area that you're not making progress in, and mindset is the set of assumptions and attitudes we have around something, around how the world works, especially what we believe is possible, what we believe we're capable of, what we believe we deserve.
If you're suffering, you are obligated, in a sense, to hold on to whatever rope someone throws you. Don't sacrifice your stability. Assuming you want to get better, there's usually something you could figure out that would constitute a step towards some sort of concrete goal. Small, accruing gains that repeat are unbelievably powerful. You can look at your life and you can see what isn't right about it. All you have to do is look. And then you can start to fix that. The way you fix it is by noticing what you could in fact fix.
Luck is a part of all of our lives to a certain degree, both good fortune and bad. But by definition, you don't have control over luck. And your habits also matter. And I think that the reason they're so worthwhile to focus on and understand is that they are the portion of your life that you can influence that also determines your outcomes. It's not just luck, it's not just habits, but one of those you have control over.
There's a difference between knowing something and walking it in your heart, in your body. And so what keeps us from mastery sometimes is this idea that, oh, I know this already. You know, go get to the other stuff that you're really holding back. But it's the fundamentals that the masters get really good at. And if you ask yourself, how come I can never do this, or how come I can never be this person, or how come I can't earn this money, your brain's gonna find evidence to support that. If you knew how truly powerful your mind was, you wouldn't say or think something you didn't want to be true.
Because we see things so often in front of us the way that it should be done, and it imposes a kind of barrier through what people know and see, a familiarity. But maybe you can change something within you that can be just outside a new set of axioms, some new skill set that will take you further.
Your outcomes in life are often a lagging measure of your habits. A lot of the time people talk about, I want to have more money, or I want to lose weight, or I want some kind of result. But the truth is, your bank account is a lagging measure of your financial habits. Your weight is a lagging measure of your eating habits. Your knowledge is a lagging measure of your learning and reading habits. And so it's actually, we think the thing that needs to change is the bank account or the test score or the number on the scale, but actually the thing that needs to change are the habits that precede those outcomes.
Whatever you've done up to this point, all that it really is a duplication, it's a reproduction of what you believe subconsciously that you deserve and what's possible for your life.
Mindset is the area of possibility. The mindset really is the what and the who you are. They say the two most powerful words in the English language are the shortest, I am. Because whatever you put after that is your life, is your destiny.
It means responsibility. It means that the decisions you make are important. It means that when you do something wrong, it's wrong. Well, do you want that?
Is the first thing that keeps us from doing something is the mindset we don't deserve it, or it's not possible, right? The second force that keeps us stuck, which is your motivation. And motivation for me is not something where you get really excited. I believe there's a formula for sustainable motivation. And it's these three things. This is the formula to be motivated. It's reasons times energy times small, simple steps.
But usually when you get what you thought you wanted, the fire goes away. So if there's anything, just find joy in what you do for the sake of it. And then recognize how you're being shaped in the process, and hopefully you become a better man through it.
Every action you take is kind of like a vote for the type of person you want to become. You can master the right actions. If you can master the right habits, then you can start to cast votes for this new identity, this desired person that you want to be. It's kind of like true behavior change is really identity change, because once you've changed that internal story, it's way easier to show up each day.
Happiness is a side effect. It's not a thing in itself. It's something that comes upon you. It's like an act of grace in some sense. You cannot will yourself to be happy. The most effective means of pursuing the good life, which is not the same as pursuing happiness, is to adopt something like a stance of maximum responsibility.
I want people to understand is, okay, so if nature only gave you two things to motivate you, pleasure and pain, why would you eliminate half of them? And so most people think that life is about avoiding the pain. I'm here to tell you right now, in a very controlled fashion, it is about really experiencing the pain. Relentless, I'm going to make this happen if I have to break myself, and I'm not afraid to lean into that because I know how powerful it is.
If someone can make their dream become a reality, then it's possible that you can make your dream become reality. And so as you begin to look at where you want to go, beginning to embrace that, it's possible.
I spend 80% of my time focused on the beautiful things in my life, the things I'm grateful for, the beautiful things that I want to bring into existence, all of it. 20% of the time, though, I'm in the darkness, man.
Are you procrastinating? Are you evading your own greatness? Are you surrounding yourself with people that can nourish you? Are you challenging yourself? Are you experimenting? Are you learning something different? Is your life an adventure or is it boring?
Pain plus reflection equals progress.
Are you crafting, designing, and intentionally creating your life? Or are you just coasting in the passenger seat of your life, which is just dragging you and driving you wherever it's taking you? And so it's the difference between being the driver or being in the passenger seat. And so to me, living intentionally is what allows you to live a life of by design.
You just don't allow it to control your life anymore. So you have your cherished wound, and I have mine in our hearts. But don't try to overcome. Just make a decision that you're not going to give another inch. You're forgiving yourself, and you give yourself a gift not to carry that anymore.
And that's the thing about it. When you achieve success, it may not match your picture, right? It may not match your vision of what you thought, but you've got to be flexible. But once you get there, no matter how old you are, you've got to deal with the trappings of success: complacency, arrogance, laziness. And to do that successfully, you need people around you to help you find your true north.
You have to really face the ruthless reality, the ruthless truth, that what you're getting in your life is a direct result of your beliefs. Your beliefs are controlling your thoughts are controlling your actions are controlling what the experience you're getting out in the real world. So back it all the way to the beliefs again. We got to find out what are the beliefs creating the reality you have, change those beliefs. You're going to have different thoughts, you're going to have different actions, you're going to have different results. It's going to be this domino effect.
That we truly have influence in more than our environment. Our environment affects us for sure. It plants seeds and weeds into our life, but there is still a choice And I think even if you feel there isn't a choice, simply by accepting that there is, it means you have a chance to get out of there. When you believe you've exhausted all options, remember this, you haven't.
To stay in touch with those aspects of us that come naturally as children is part of the challenge of growing and maturing into adulthood. First and foremost, that really help you hold on to those essential aspects of childhood. A willingness to suspend disbelief, a willingness to believe in yourself, a willingness to believe that if you can dream it up, you can get it done.
Be willing to suck, because as you're willing to suck, you're actually becoming more creative. You're becoming more daring. You're becoming more experienced. But I'm afraid. Guess what? We all get afraid when we want to do something we've never done before. It's called leaving our comfort zone. Our comfort zone feels comfortable because we've been living in it for quite a while.
Is who do I want to be? Who is the person that I need to be, that I can love, that I want to love, that I want to give more love to? Like, what parts of growth are there still available? If you literally put your hand on your heart and just go, I am exactly where I need to be, you stop getting lost in the future, you stop worrying about the past, and you realize that everything you need to learn, everything you need right now to make a change, it's all right now, it's all right here.
Don't fight it, face it. And when the feelings come up, invite it in. It's okay there is no forgiveness without rage. You got to feel that rage. Don't be afraid to rage. The opposite of depression is expression.
Passion is the antidote to self-doubt, because when you're in your passion space, you don't have time to have all that negative talk. When you're in your passion space, you know, you're leaning forward in the world.
There are things like, I'm not good enough, it's not going to work out, this stuff works for other people. All of these kinds of negative thoughts keep people shut down. They don't go for the dreams. They react to life. They kind of crawl through life with no enthusiasm, no sort of energy, and no belief in themselves or the possibilities of something better.
And what the hell are you going to do if you don't try to aim for the top? You know, flap about uselessly and whine about your life? It's not helpful. It'll just make you miserable. You're not reliable to anyone. You can't help out in a crisis. Go out there and make something of yourself, for God's sake. Be an honest person and work and get to the top of whatever it is that you want to get to the top of. And then stand up for yourself like a respectable human being and be a bit of a light on the world instead of a blight.
Once you understand that you can succeed in life through love and compassion, you can never again go back to greed.
Lots of hierarchies to attempt to climb, and if you fail in one, go try in another.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? Your playing small doesn't serve the world.
So if there's extreme darkness, there has to be extreme light. There's duality to everything. Everybody will wake up each day doing subtraction. I look at my life as addition. You know, I wake up and say, what can I do today to add to my skill set? What can I do today to add to someone else's joy? What can I do today to serve someone else? So when you keep a mindset of service, your problems in that darkness become smaller.
So often we're waiting until something gets better, until it changes, until it transforms, and then I'm gonna play full out. And the universe is saying, I respond to you playing full out right now. I respond to you playing full out right now. Are you willing? Are you willing to be so radical that you play full out as you're evolving your life, transforming your life, stepping into your next best season? Are you willing to fall madly in love with your now?
Every spare moment that you have needs to be poured into actually acquiring a better skill set. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters are your actions. The only thing that matters are the skills that you're able to acquire. And if you're not spending every day focused on getting better and becoming truly extraordinary, then all hope is lost. And if you want to get ahead in life, boys and girls, I promise you, the only thing you need to focus on is actually getting good.
Wound is the place where the light enters. Self-actualization is the idea that you grow for the sake of growth. It is your growth that motivates you, not external validation. This is where you want to take your children, not growing for someone else's opinion, growing because as a soul, you know that the human experience is here. We are here in human bodies to learn and to grow.
What we do is we kind of check out because it feels overwhelming, or we check out because we're afraid, or we check out because we start listening to self-doubt, and then we make these teeny tiny decisions all day long. We don't even realize it. You knew that there was more in store for you, but you couldn't figure out how do you close the gap. How do you find the power that's in you? How do you discover your greatness? How do you solve these problems? It feels so overwhelming.
Self-transcendence is the idea that you go beyond yourself, that your growth is important, yes, but you're going to use that growth. You're going to use that fit body, that incredible mind, those connections you have, that powerful cognitive ability to put together ideas, to go forth and fix the world. Self-transcendence is a really powerful idea. It means that we are not here just to be our best selves. We are here to be our best selves and fix the world. Fix the world around you so that our children inherit a better world than what we did. Think back to a time that you were deeply hurt. That wounding is often our soul's way of giving us a marker for what we're meant to do in the world.
So now it becomes a question of what do you do with your potential? In what way do you actuate it? So decide right now that you are capable of transcending the average, that you're not just some statistic, that you can do anything you set your mind to. But then you have to prove that to yourself by going out and doing it. And the notion of earning credibility with yourself is hardly ever talked about and absolutely critical. And you're going to have to earn that credibility with yourself through action, not a bunch of thought, through actual action.
Are you willing to not hold your future hostage to your past? Are you willing to no longer keep score? See, keeping score is collecting evidence of why it might not work, while keeping track is taking notes of when you needed to step right and you step left instead, so the next time you step in the right direction. See, self-love is not expecting your perfection to show up. Self-love is falling madly in love with your imperfection.
You can take that wounding and turn it into your mission. You can take what is it that hurt you and use that to fix the world.
And so recognizing that when you love from your overflow, that's the most responsible thing that you could do. And that the greatest love that you can ever give the world is the demonstration of what loving you looks like. See, we don't think about what we can do based on what we hear. We live inside possibility based on what we see. And so I say that love starts with self-love. It starts with being willing to recognize that the greatest love of all is inside of you, that it's always been inside of you.
That something needs to be something that's pulling you through with excitement, that the future becoming that person and getting good at that thing amps you up and makes you feel more alive than anything else. Gaining mastery, and in the process of actually getting so good that they can't ignore you, of acquiring the skill set that I was just talking about, it's either going to develop into a passion, something where you're actually good at, where something that you've worked your ass off to acquire the skills has used to other people. That, my friends, is when you fall in love with something, when it really becomes this burning passion. It is something you've been fanning the flames the whole way. It is not something you're born with. It is not something that happens by accident.
The most important step we'll ever take in life is our next one. But a lot of us get our feet stuck in concrete. We get our feet stuck in concrete because we're afraid to make enemies. We're afraid to speak what's on our mind. We're afraid of being in that group of people. And when you walk away, we're afraid of what they might say behind your back. All that fear clouds your brain, clouds your thinking. One thing in life, you're gonna always have haters. Embrace them.
You are your own hero. You are your own leader. You are your own master.
Learn one thing. Shut the noise out. Embrace the fact that people don't like you. It means you're doing something right.
We idolize so many people, and we want to be them. We want to be someone else. And in doing that, you lose all the potential of who you are. You be them, you are them, you become them, and you lose you. You must hold yourself accountable, and being your own hero, that's what that does. You make yourself so totally accountable for who you are. You focus on you and only on you to become the best person you can be for others.
If you start with the presumption that there's a baseline of suffering in life and that can be exaggerated as a consequence of human failing, as a consequence of malevolence and betrayal and self-betrayal and deceit and all those things that we do to each other and ourselves that we know that aren't good, that amplifies the suffering. That's sort of the baseline against which you have to work. And it's contemplation of that often that makes people hopeless and depressed and anxious and overwhelmed and all of that, and they have the reasons. But you need something to put up against that. And what you put up against that is meaning. Meaning is actually the instinct that helps you guide yourself through that catastrophe. And most of that meaning is to be found in the adoption of responsibility.
People are looking for the excuse, and the truth is the excuse is completely valid, but that's still not going to change your circumstance. So the test is not whether or not you know the reasons for not succeeding. The test is whether or not you're willing to do whatever it takes to get to that next level. And a big part of the whatever it takes actually is just remain teachable. Just be a student of the game, a student of life, a student of those who've achieved.
Wanting to become extraordinary, to transform yourself into something that is truly undeniable, to become so good that they can't ignore you. I believed that my talent and intelligence were fixed traits. I was born a certain way, and life was about making the most of what I'd been born with. What I did not yet understand is the reason humans are the ultimate apex predator. The reason that we have taken over the globe in a way that no other species has is because we are the ultimate adaptation machine. Neither the strongest of the species that survive nor the most intelligent, but rather the most adaptive to change.
Stay on the goddamn path and be careful. If you were better, the people around you would be less worse than they are. And if you were good enough, you don't know how much better the people around you would be. If you don't understand that you could do that, then you don't know who you are.
If you stop, you get the emotion, you don't get the progress. So if you talk to any decent athlete, they'll tell you that where the pain starts is when the work starts. Talk to any decent entrepreneur that's built a large-scale business, they'll tell you the shit they had to go through. So you either get the emotion or you get the progress, but you can't have both.
What you build your self-esteem around matters. And whether you realize it or not, each and every one of you has something that sits at the core of how you feel about yourself. And from that, your identity, your sense of self-worth, your self-esteem, it is all built around that thing.
Happy exists in a binary. Happy, sad, positive, negative, pessimist, optimist. Those are all binaries. Joy wraps its arms around the full spectrum of the human experience. Joy is when you see how fragile, temporary, fleeting this experience is. Joy is we're here, and we're in this moment.
I think it's really important. I think this idea of identity is just so powerful. When somebody asks the question, who are you? How do you answer that question?
Things that are robust, that are strong, that are tough, that can take just a lot of abuse before they break, they are still ultimately defined by their breaking point. Something that is anti-fragile, on the other hand, is something that the more you attack it, the more it is pounded on, the stronger it gets. Now imagine being able to build a belief system, the thing that you build your self-esteem around. If all of that were tied to something that is truly anti-fragile, that the more somebody comes after it, the more robust it becomes. Being a learner is that answer.
You come face to face with just how fleeting this experience is, and it heightens your gratitude and appreciation for what you do have right now.
Make no mistake about it, the first noble truth of Buddhism, life is suffering. This is true, and it's worse than that because it's suffering contaminated by malevolence. That's the baseline. And so that's very pessimistic. But the optimistic part is that you are so damn tough you can actually not only deal with that, you can improve it.